Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Overwhelmed and Over It. Embrace your power to stay centered and sustained in a chaotic world. By Christine Arylo. Narrated by Christine Arylo. Publisher's note. This audiobook refers to glyphs included in the print and ebook editions of the book. For Bonnie. May your spirit and light continue to open hearts through the words written in these pages. For all women who felt the burden of too much with too little, may we find the courage, power, and wisdom to create a different way for ourselves and the generations to come. For the planet and her people, may we be free. May we know peace. May we trust that choosing the path of harmony will always lead us to a better world. Preface. It's not your fault you feel overwhelmed and overstretched. Stretched beyond capacity, struggling to get it all done, sacrificing yourself to take care of everything and everyone else. Not just for a moment or a season, but as a consistent cycle you cannot seem to free yourself from. Sound familiar? Welcome to the sisterhood of women who have become so strong and self-sufficient that we've come to accept the frenzied, overfilled fast pace at which we work and live as normal. We do what we must in order to survive and succeed. And because you and I are so darn capable, we pull it off for a time. But then there comes the moment when the pressure and pace are too much, even for women like us. We crash down or lash out like a keg pumped with pressure, spout flowing out for far too long. We have run dry. We are tapped, burned out. Nothing more to give, but with so much more still to do, and no one else but us to do it. Perhaps you have found yourself in a stream of spontaneous tears that won't stop flowing, in the throes of what I have come to call the superwoman sob. My first superwoman sob erupted in a hotel bathroom one tar-melting hot August afternoon in Texas. If you had been there, you would have found me sitting on the toilet seat lid, my face cupped in my hands, bent over with tears streaming down my face and pangs of despair pulsing through my heart. I'd been working tirelessly to promote my first book. After 4 years of writing it and 33 years of living it, I had a burning desire to get this labor of love into the world. In one way, I had reached some significant milestones. I'd left the safety of a consistent corporate paycheck to follow my passion and purpose. I was a published author. I had achieved success, but at a cost. I was straddling 2 jobs to pay for it all. The work I loved as a writer, transformational coach, and speaker that was not yet enough to support me. And the work as a consultant, which was paying my bills and funding the book tour. After 4 months of keeping up the pace of working 10+ hours a day, draining my savings to keep it all going, and juggling a marriage, a mortgage, and my own health, I was depleted. And even worse, I felt defeated. I was not having the impact I desired. Being on television looks glamorous, but the reality was that flying from city to city to spend 5 minutes talking about celebrity breakups was not changing lives or leading to the deeper conversations I believed we needed to be having as women. It all felt empty, and so did I. I wasn't being nourished by working this way, nor was I being sustained financially. I believed if I just worked harder, I could make it all happen, and something would change. There is often a tipping point or a triggering moment that sets off our superwoman sobs. What have been some of yours? Can you recall the tipping points that open the floodgates of emotion and tears, heard or silent? For me, it was a loving photo sent via text from my life partner, Noah. He was standing with our Siberian Husky at our home in California in a garden overflowing with sunflowers we had planted together earlier that spring. A dream we had achieved together. As I looked at that photo, I saw the home and partnership that truly nourished me staring back at me. So much love and beauty and support there. Yet I was trapped in an unimpressive, air-conditioned hotel room surrounded by parking lots 1,700 miles from home, alone, feeling completely bankrupt inside. Like a brick of self-honesty, it hit me. I realized that I was the one who had created this unsustainable, busy, overworking reality in which, in order to achieve professional success, financial stability, and my mission to empower and support women and girls, I had to sacrifice my needs as a human and desires as a woman. So there, on the toilet seat, I just let the tears flow. During my first, but not my last, Superwoman sob. Maybe you can relate. While the details may differ, recall the times when the pressure was too much even for you. And know you are not alone. If honest, most of us would admit our bodies are bone tired, our minds frazzled, our spirits weary, and our hearts heavy. We feel unsupported, stretched too thin, and like we're not getting what we need. Not because we're weak or doing something wrong, but because the pressure and expectations are too much. Our strategy has been to work harder and do more just to keep up. We've even come to accept anxiety, hormonal imbalances, whacked out thyroids, depression, chronic fatigue, burnout, and exhaustion as normal, just what happens. And we are setting up our children and the generations to come for the same unsustainable, unhealthy racetrack reality. The real travesty is that we know this, yet with all the talk about women's empowerment, we don't stand up, speak up, and say, this way of working isn't working, and it has to change now. Instead, as the tears subside and the pressure releases, our minds calm, and we allow ourselves to play out fantasies of how just maybe we could create a less stressful reality. We consider quitting our jobs and moving to where the cost of living is less. We imagine vacating our lives to take a month off and head to a beach or foreign country to unplug. We let all kinds of options, which we will never do, run through our minds just to escape the reality that comes rushing in. I can't run away from my life. This is my life. And there is no one to take care of all this stuff except me. So we sigh deeply and promise to do a better job at finding balance. We shake off our Superwoman sob and charge back in to this unsustainable reality, just to repeat the overwhelm, burnout, and self-sacrificing patterns all over again. We women have become so resilient that we've become too tolerant. We do our best to make healthy choices. We earnestly attempt regenerating activities like meditating, going to yoga classes, cleansing, or taking technology-free weekends. But the reality is that many of us are just holding on, treading water, praying we don't sink and go under. I want you to know that it's not for lack of information that you haven't been able to find the solutions to the overwhelm you feel. The truth is, you know a lot. Get good sleep, eat well, exercise, limit sugar and screen time, practice mindfulness. You don't need more lists of information. What we all need is access to deeper wisdom, the kind that has the power to lead us to lasting personal and social transformation. We need the space to connect more deeply with ourselves, to discern what is right and true. And we need connection with other conscious women to give us the courage and clarity to do things differently. Which is why instead of filling your head with more tips, life hacks, and surface level fixes that add to an already full to-do list and just give you enough oomph to keep your head above water, I want to get real with you. I want to share with you heart to heart the wisdom it's taken me over a decade to discover. It's not your fault you feel so stretched and overwhelmed. The systems you work and live in were built for burnout. It's not for lack of desire, intelligence, or effort that you struggle to create supportive realities in which you feel both successful and sustained. How you've been trained and expected to work, lead, and succeed is not the way women, or humans in general, naturally operate and create best. You haven't been given the wisdom or superpowers you need to thrive in intense and changing times. Repeat, it's not your fault. When I share this with a room full of women, I often feel like the doors are going to swing open from the pressure release gale that comes from each woman freeing herself from the self-judgment. You can feel the energy in the room lighten as each woman starts to see how she's not the only one striving to meet unrealistic goals, timelines, and markers of success, or the unattainable nirvana of work-life balance. Now I share that same truth with you. Exhale with me now. Really, just try it. Exhale all that pressure you've been carrying around like a 25-pound sack of judgment against yourself. The guilt, expectations, obligations, criticisms, comparisons, and ideals of what you should have done, accomplished, or figured out by now. All the ways in which you deem you are not measuring up, keeping up, or doing enough. The cause of the shoulder knots, jaw clenching, anxiety, mental fogginess, depression, despair, and exhaustion, it's heavy. Here's what I want you to know right now. You are not making this up. You are not being too sensitive. You are not whining. You haven't done anything wrong. And the answer is not to keep pushing and working harder, or doing and giving more. Drop the sack of self-judgment by saying to yourself, it's not my fault. And then imagine this. Instead of feeling like it's all up to you, and you are the only one who hasn't figured out how to manage and balance it all, imagine standing in a room of thousands of women who feel just like you. Overworked, overwhelmed, and over it. And then consider embracing this. If you truly want to thrive, then you have to do this differently. The current norms for how we work and operate as a society are not something you want to lean into. While it's not your fault your current reality is what it is, you are the only one with the power to change it. Overwhelmed and Over It is a call and an invitation to you and women around the world to liberate ourselves from the self-sacrifice and burnout first. Then, by tapping into our feminine wisdom and our power of influence, we make shifts happen in the systems we work, lead, and live in together. We, 1, stop tolerating this way of working and living as normal and acceptable. 2, stop trying to cure the symptoms and instead get to the root of the systems that keep us trapped in the burnout cycle and overwhelm. 3, start putting wellness, sustainability, wholeness, and real wealth at the core of our own lives, not as an afterthought, but as a requirement for how our jobs, roles, organizations, and lifestyles are designed. 4. Start asking courageous questions and questioning what does not feel right or good, unleashing our feminine wisdom to speak and challenge the status quo. 5. Wield our power as women to birth and design new ways of working, relating, and living that support and sustain people and the planet. To liberate means to free a group or individual from social or economic constraints or discrimination, especially arising from traditional role expectations or bias. I love the power embedded in the energy of the word liberate. You and I can consciously apply this power to free ourselves, individually and collectively, of the insanity that has become normality in our current culture. I believe with all my heart that together we can achieve powerful results in our lifetimes, for our children, and for the causes and concerns that matter most to us, but only if we first create realities and ways of working and living that sustain us. Just as Wonder Woman had her golden lasso and superpowers, you and I need access to more powerful wisdom, practices, and tools in order to maintain a centered presence amid the swirl of the world and be the leaders we were born to be at this time. Leadership is not a position given or attained. It's a choice one embraces. And it starts with how you show up and make choices within all aspects of your life. If we join together collectively to conjure up the clarity, confidence, and courage to do things differently within our own lives first, and then within our families and the organizations and communities where we live and work, that would be enough to change this world. We are that powerful. You are that powerful. I am glad we have found each other. I look forward to this journey with you. Welcome to the Sisterhood of Wise Women, choosing to do it differently. Introduction. Awaken your fierce feminine heart and take a stand for yourself. The first step in changing what's not working for you is awareness, becoming conscious of what you are currently blind to. You simply cannot change what you cannot see. But when you do see what was previously hidden, you gain the power to change it. When you can see both the systemically created and the self-generated roots of overwhelm, burnout, and self-sacrifice, you become empowered to make changes not previously available to you. In this book, we will open up your eyes to both. The systemically created roots are tied to the collective and cultural systems for how we work, educate, relate, and operate as a society and within our families, communities, and organizations. Ignorant that we could do things differently, we ignore our inner knowing by not questioning what doesn't feel good or right inside. We accept things as normal, just how it is. You'll see that what we've deemed normal for how we work, live, and succeed as a collective world is anything but natural. The self-generated roots stem from what I think of as your personal internal operating system. Similar to how a computer has an operating system that runs its programs and drives its functionality, you have your own version of a motherboard, chock full of programs that drive your emotions, thoughts, and choices. Your internal operating system drives how you design your life, how you approach your work, and how you define and experience success. It dictates how you give and receive in relationships, relate to money, and operate in the face of all of the demands and within the diverse realms of your life. The problem is, the programs within you are much more like blueprints for burnout than imprints for self-sustainability and real success. 7 roots of overwhelm, burnout, and self-sacrifice. What follows are 7 of the root causes at the core of the burnout cycles, self-sacrificing choices, and unsustainable realities women like us haven't been able to free ourselves from yet. Consider each with the intention of increasing both your systemic awareness and your self-awareness. Consider how each has affected your life. Then we'll illuminate where to find the power to start making changes. Root 1. The systems we work and live in were built for burnout, not to support us to thrive. Designed during an era when profit and productivity were king, our current systems lack human sustainability and wellness at their core, which is why no matter how hard you personally try to maintain sustainability and wellness, you can't. Take a closer look at the current business, financial, educational, healthcare, and government systems, and consider the consciousness of the culture and the people when these systems were designed. Created to fuel an industrial revolution and ignite an information age that exploded us into this age of technology, the core intention was not about supporting and sustaining women, families, humanity, or the planet. These systems were designed with a focus on maximizing productivity and profit, minting workers to manufacture more stuff, and training leaders to grow bigger and faster so they could succeed in a world rooted in competition, domination, accumulation, and consumption. Humans were and still are referred to as resources. And in the current collective consciousness, resources are things to be utilized and monetized for short-term gains, not nurtured and protected for long-term sustainability. Now that may sound sinister, and while you and I both know there have been sinister acts that have exploited people and planet, I don't think there was a clandestine meeting headed up by a Dr. Evil-like dude with the agenda to dominate humans for personal gain. If we look back, we can see both the positive and negative impact of what the former consciousness created: infrastructure, transportation, technology, and advancement in medicine and science. We can't really know if we could have evolved differently as a society. Maybe the pace at which all this growth occurred and the choices made was how it had to happen to bring us to where we stand now. Maybe not. We'll never know. But if you look at the present state of humanity and the planet and into the future, really look, this knowing becomes crystal clear. The consciousness that got us here cannot take us to what we need now. A society and market system that values domination, accumulation, and consumption, where the measures of success are rooted in profit and productivity instead of people and planet, is just not sustainable. Grow, grow, go, go, more, more, faster, faster is causing us all, and the planet, to burn out just in order to keep up. And things need to change now. We need to do things differently. Now, do not go into overwhelm as I start to peel the film off how big a systemic issue we have. Or start feeling like, oh great, more I have to do? How am I going to change that? I can barely manage my life now. I don't want you to take this on or do anything right now. I just want you to become more aware. Root 2. We accept the ways we work and live as how things have to be. But humans made the systems, which means we have the power to change them. Clarissa Pinkola Estes, PhD, author of Women Who Run with the Wolves, refers to our collective systems as the overculture, the dominant and often power-mad culture we try to navigate without being crushed or over-assimilated into. Sound familiar? The truth is, women didn't create the current systems. We acclimated to survive within them because we had to. In the 1970s and 80s, when women entered the workforce in full force, we became men in black suits, warriors armoring up, ceiling breakers and fighters. We put on shoulder pads and bow ties to look like men. We became tough on the outside to play with the boys. We suppressed our feminine presence. We stepped on and over our sisters to succeed in the patriarchal hierarchy. These were acts of survival. We didn't have the mass of women in positions of authority or influence even a decade ago, or the consciousness to do things differently. We had to play by the rules that were set for us. As a result, we have come to accept how we work and live as normal, even if intuitively we know it's unhealthy and unnecessary. Here are just a few examples that point to how insane our way of working and living has become. For doctors and residents, laws require working a maximum of 80 hours a week, with no shift exceeding 28 hours. Awake for 28 hours. That's like working 13 hours a day, 6 days a week for 4 years. For the people in charge of our physical health and lives, is this even humane or safe? 41% of teachers leave the profession in the first 5 years, citing burnout stemming from the volume of work, lack of enough time to do the work, and inadequate resources. I would add an insufficient financial compensation. The people responsible for educating our children, those we give birth to and love, are some of the most under-resourced, under-supported, and underpaid. What does that say about what we value as a society? Think it's better to work for yourself? 72% of entrepreneurs report mental health concerns, and entrepreneurs are 30% more likely to experience depression than the general public. Maybe just get a job with less responsibility or that's mentally less taxing. Employees in packing and shipping facilities for some large internet-based retailers have been forced to wear bracelets around their wrists to monitor their productivity, driving some to pee in bottles so they don't get docked for time going to the bathroom. Really. We could spend the rest of this book talking about how the policies of government and the organizations we work for still do not support women or the reality of families, but I think you get the picture. But here's just one more point that really drives home just how not supportive our systems are. Of the 193 countries in the United Nations, 185 have national paid leave laws. Those that don't are Papua New Guinea, Suriname, a few small South Pacific Island states, and the United States. The United States is the only high-income country that doesn't provide paid maternity leave nationally. While other countries do better in this area, I think it's safe to say that the unsustainability we are experiencing is global. This is just the tip of a long list of the insanity we've come to accept, results of an overculture that just keeps moving faster in the name of progress. The pressure coming from this overculture is real. Housing prices skyrocketing, the cost of living increasing by double digits, exorbitant tuition for private education just to give our kids a better future. This all makes it so we must work more and earn more money just to keep afloat. No wonder we don't have the energy to question why our society and world is working this way. We've been assimilating for so long that, like goldfish living in a fishbowl, we don't realize we aren't living free. Lost in the frenzy of trying to survive, we forget that other worlds, oceans of possibility outside the fishbowl exist. And then one day, we go belly up from all the stress and self-sacrifice. And you know what happens? We get flushed down the toilet and replaced by another fish that looks just like us and moves into our plastic castle, and the overculture continues without us. And for what, really? We do not have to live and work this way. Humans made every non-natural system.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?